Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live again on another Tuesday. And I have a new guest and new friend in the house today from across the pond. She's from Wales, which is exciting. And so we have Kat Williams in the house. And I'm just going to tell everybody what we're talking about. And then I will have Kat introduce herself. So our topic today is work in progress, the confidence to keep writing. And this is such an important topic. So before we get stuck in, Kat, please go ahead, tell people who you are and what you do.
Oh, hello, everyone. Hi, Gillian. Thank you for having me. So yes, my name's Kat. I'm a confidence specialist and a clinical hypnotherapist. So what I do is all about really getting to the root cause of confidence blocks that get in people's way, what's going on in their subconscious mind. So it'll be issues like imposter syndrome and anxiety, and kind of shattering those invisible cages, as I call it, so they can just maximize that potential and go out and achieve whatever they want. So that's what I do.
Perfect. And so, Kat, you already have one book, and I'm going to show it on my iPad, which is the light. Stay calm and content no matter what life throws at you. So that's your first book. I know you're working on your second book, so I'm excited to talk about your books. And I wonder if you would indulge us with that short little story at the beginning of this book, because I thought it was quite amazing that you talked about the sort of keep calm and carry on posters. And you told a story at the beginning of the book, and I was like, what? So just how about what those posters are and how you kind of came up with that as your beginning of your book.
Yes, well, I still have the poster actually somewhere in this room, but yes, you're right. It's based on the Keep Calm and Carry On poster. It just was quite iconic, particularly when I wrote the book, which is about 12 years ago now. I kind of saw it, I put it on my kitchen wall, and I think the story you might be thinking of, I hope it's the right one, but I was standing in my kitchen. We're a military family, so I didn't have anything else really on the walls. We just moved up to a new posting in Inverness, and my husband was actually out on the front line in Afghanistan. And that poster kind of caught my eye, the red on the blank walls, and it was saying, keep calm and carry on. And it felt like it was taunting me, really, because I wasn't calm. I did not know how to carry on. I was kind of literally imagining looking out on, it's called the patch, the military patch of all the other military partners. And I was asking myself the question, when life is throwing everything at you, what makes the difference between kind of rising somehow and kind of swimming versus sinking and thinking, I can't do this. So it was honestly written kind of for myself originally, but also what the listeners may not know is I was as well a therapist by that point already. So I was a relationship therapist, paid to qualify through the army. So I was also supporting the families and personnel and civilians through difficult times. So they were saying, Kat, write the book, and a lot of the book in the book are their stories that they wanted me to share about how they somehow rose like a phoenix through difficult times. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love that you said that you wrote the book, like, number one, because your clients were saying you need to write this book, which is wonderful that you have the cheerleaders saying, you've helped me, go help others. And then I also love how you said you wrote the book for yourself. That it, and I think that that's probably a key for a lot of writers or a lot of people that feel compelled to write a book in the first place. And many times people will say, I wrote the book that I needed, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I think sometimes it's like we achieve something in life and we want to kind of reach back, and it's like, well, let me help you take the faster route, the Disneyland fast pass, so that you don't have to go through all this stuff. Just read my book and you can get there. So that's brilliant.
I call it kind of pain into purpose. It's such an energy, and it's kind of, right, what am I going to do with this pain, this energy? Like you say, everything. I was like, okay, I've got a purpose. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. 100%.
I love that. And I have to admit too, I listened to your TED Talk, and anybody who is listening today, watching today, I will go ahead and include your TED Talk in the show notes, because I think it was a brilliant TED Talk, and just kind of brings all this stuff home about, what are the things that hold us back? What are, like you said, your second book's coming out about invisible cages. I want to know what that means in a minute. But there's just so many things that pull us back, that hold us back like anchors, and we need to move forward. So can I ask you, so you're you deal with confidence. You are, so skilled to be able to do this from a clinical perspective. So how about you? When you wrote your first book, were you just like, no problem? Or did you even have struggles?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the things I've never told people in a way. So there's going to be a little exclusive, I think, things coming up today. Well, first of all, I told nobody I was writing it. Absolutely nobody. Because it was, first of all, for me, and it was a huge confidence thing. I absolutely had, like, who do I think I am to be an author? Like, what do I have to say? And I was afraid. I think it's a real, because it is that pain into purpose. It's a very vulnerable thing. I felt it was like birthing a child or something, but even worse in a way. Nobody's going to judge a baby, but they might judge a book. They might go, no, it's rubbish. So no, I didn't tell anyone, mainly because my husband was out on the front line, so he wasn't there to kind of know. But funny you say about the clients. It was a client who read the first copy. So the people I could trust were those who were sharing their stories of vulnerability kind of with me. And so I think what I love about this conversation in a way is that was 12 years ago. And, that the next book that will come out at some point will be done in a very different way because of the journey I've been on in terms of my own confidence and why I specialize in confidence, which we'll probably come to, but because it's this just subconscious feelings that we all have of maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm going to be rejected, I'll get laughed at. None of it's true, but these things lie in our subconscious and they become true and they talk us out of stuff.
I so agree. And I know that, the crazy feeling of like not enough, who am I to do this? And also too, it's kind of weird in that, and I don't know if this kind of gets into like shame or anything like that, but I think a lot of people go, but it's just me. Like other people write books and they're just like, oh, I'm writing a book and I have no problem. And look at them. They're posting it up on social media. My book's coming out and they put the date and they've got the cover on their banners and all this stuff. And we look at them and say, because I did the same thing. I didn't tell anybody I was writing a book. I just launched it. And people were like, you never told us you were writing the book. And I thought, yeah, because I didn't know if I would ever hit that publish button. I wanted the out. And yet there's this feeling that it's just us, that everyone else has like no problem with confidence. It's just me. So can you tell us, where does that come from, that we think everyone else has it together? It's just me that's the mess.
Well, first of all, we kind of, consciously know that isn't true. But we will have this feeling that, maybe it is just me. Because I guess one of the reasons I think is that we don't necessarily know kind of what it's really about. So most of my clients actually come to me because they don't really know what it is that is at the root of their not feeling confident. So you can't really explain. If you can't explain it, then it's hard to feel that other people might understand or they might feel the same. But really what I want to say to people is that there's large or small traumas in our lives for all of us. So we're born with 10 out of 10 natural confidence. That is my belief. There's no baby that comes onto the planet and thinks I'm not good enough, or I haven't got what it takes, or they're better than me. It doesn't exist as a baby, because we scream and cry with the belief that all of our needs are worthy of being met. So that is a fact. And in my former profession, actually, I was a physiotherapist. So I would test for the only 2 innate fears that we're born with. Do you know what they are, Gillian? The only 2 fears we're actually born with, and we learn everything else.
Oh, I don't know. Please fill us in.
Fear-based reflexes. We're only born with a fear of falling. We have a startle reflex as a baby. And the second fear is a fear of loud noises. We'll turn our head to a loud noise. So everything else we've learned. And it's not what happens to us, it's what happens within us. And what happens within us is within our nervous system. And because we're so young and vulnerable when small or large traumas happen, we come up with the belief usually, which is this root cause of, I haven't got what it takes. Because we are vulnerable as a child, we kind of go, I don't know what to do. I'm helpless. It's called learned helplessness. If I'm not being cared about enough here, then we come up with this belief, it must be that I'm not worthy of that. And there's nothing I can do about it because I'm small. And that sort of messaging goes into the nervous system. And then from about the age of 7, so I'm going into the kind of neuroscience here now, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious, and they're actually running on repeat. Pretty much about 90% of those thoughts are on repeat from the age of 7. And they then project those beliefs onto the world, and they become self-fulfilling. So it's kind of like, I knew I wasn't good enough, because we then kind of have that confirmation bias of like, you know, it's kind of looping thought. If you don't think you're good enough, you won't do something, and then, you know, you don't go to the event or whatever it is, and then you've confirmed, well, I knew I wasn't capable of doing that, and you've confirmed that. And then that becomes more and more ingrained. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's great. So I just know, like, from my own upbringing, that there's always, like, you start to feel confident, and then it feels like people sabotage that and kind of say you're being a bit too big for your boots. You know, now you're coming across as arrogant, you're a know-it-all. And I think we do this dance where we might start to feel confident that it's like, oh, wow, I did all this great stuff. And then it feels like maybe a teacher, maybe a parent, maybe the nasty kids on the street, you know, in the schoolyard, whatever. It feels that like we start to rise, and then it's like the turkeys pull us down. So how do we navigate and say, well, I'm not arrogant. I'm confident. So how do we make balance of that dance?
Yeah, well, a couple of things to say on that. First of all, my favorite way of explaining confidence in 4 words is, I'm okay, you're okay. So the first thing to say is healthy confidence is not walking into a room and thinking, yeah, I'm better than people in here. It's walking into a room and not needing to compare yourself at all, because we're all equal and we're all different. So that is what I mean by healthy confidence. And so there isn't arrogance in that. There's just, I'm lifting others up as well as myself. Like, you're great, I'm great. That's it. So that's the first thing to say. And then I have a little pen here. This is another little favorite analogy for those that do need to bring us down. I use it like a seesaw. So a lot of the time, clients will go back to those times when they're saying that this person just brought me down. Like, they were just nasty, bullies, toxic people, all sorts of, you know, sad situations. And I will help them to see, no matter what age those things happened where I will say, as you look back at that, no happy person wakes up in the morning with a need to lift themselves up by bringing someone else down. What was going on for them in terms of their not feeling good enough, them feeling different, or whatever it was that led them to try and have power and control over you. So it's always about looking back. I could say a little quick story. I had a teacher did exactly that. She stood at the front of the form class, basically. I was 15 years old, and she said, who would like to apply to be head boy or head girl? And I was sitting at the back, and I thought, oh, I reckon I think I have creative ideas, maybe do fundraisers and this. So I went up to the front at the end of the class, and I said, oh, Mrs. Emmett, I think I'd like to apply to be head girl. And she said, really? Oh, I don't think you've got the confidence to talk in like church at Christmas to the whole school. You'd have to give whole school assemblies. I don't think you've got what it takes. But if I look back at that now, a lot of people hear that story and they kind of think, what kind of awful teacher? But that was her limiting belief. I think she was quite a nervous teacher. She found it difficult to do whole school assemblies. She probably thought, I'm saving you, Catherine, that I was then from, which of course I didn't pick that up as the message. I picked up the message, you're not good enough. And it took me a long time. That's one of the invisible cages we'll come to talk about. But it was a fear of public speaking that then became self-fulfilling, because I thought, a person in authority, she's known me 5 years, she's just told me I don't have what it takes. And it went in for a long time. Yeah.
That reminds me of the sort of the idea of what you think about me is none of my business. It's just like, it's a projection. And I think that if we could have that training early on in life, that, and it seems nobody does that with kids. Obviously you do, because you've worked with children, but I think that's what it is. It's like somebody says something, they truly have the right to say it. Whether it's kind or not kind is a whole other story. I don't think that would be kind, but I think you're right that it's like a lot of times when people are being critical of you, it's their own limiting beliefs, their own projections. And at least I guess all we can do is control our what we say to other people's. I try to be kind and supportive of everyone. And even if they'll come and say, hey, I got this idea for a book, and it's like I would never say, well, there's only some people that should write books and you're not one of them. It's like, how could I be a dream stealer like that? Some people might need more help than others, but I think everybody has the right to reach for the stars, and who are we to be the dream stealers and pull them down?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. We're all born geniuses. That's one of my favorite quotes to share as well. Like Einstein even said, if you judged a fish by its ability to climb a tree, I don't know if he actually said it, but we think he might have said it anyway. But a fish trying to climb a tree will think they're stupid. But if we're all in the right place, kind of living our purpose and using our natural strengths, which is a lot of what I talk about as well. And I think that would be relevant to writing a book too, of kind of tuning into your natural personality strengths. That's the kind of author you could be. That's the kind of book you could write, is to kind of play into that natural genius, in my opinion. You're not trying to write the same book as somebody else. You're trying to write the best book you can write. And that's, again, what I apply to anything that my clients will come to wanting to do. They might come, can I start a podcast, Kat? Or can I be a public speaker? Or, can I run my own business? Can I write a book? And I'm kind of, well, let's find those points of energy. And then absolutely, you can do anything because you've already got what it takes. Definitely.
Right. And there's no quota. It's like nobody's going to say, you know what, we have enough podcasts. We don't need another podcast. We don't need another book. We don't need somebody doing another documentary. It's like, it's your spin. And it doesn't matter that it's like, okay, there's 5 books already on that topic. Yeah, but they weren't written by you. So everybody's always going to have their own spin, their own perspective. So I agree. So I want to hop over to comments, and then I want to come back and I want to talk about these invisible cages which is the content for your next book. So let's pop over and get some comments and see who's joining us today. So we have Jeff Young from the United States. He's always checks in and tells me we're working on YouTube as well as being on LinkedIn. So he says, greeting Gillian and Kat from the colonies. So don't hold the Americans against us. And Jeff is also coming in from LinkedIn, looking forward to your advice on how to be confident and overcome the dreaded imposter syndrome. So Kat, we're going to have to talk about imposter syndrome and what that means from your perspective. We have Tina Jarvik joining us from Belgium. So she's here. Hi, Gillian and Kat. So we have people coming in from across the world. We have Carl, who is also coming in from Belgium. Nice to see you. So he's here joining us today. And Jeff says, by the way, Kat's publication link on her LinkedIn profile goes to the UK Amazon page. Please include a link to the US Amazon site too. Okay, we'll do that. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes. Felipe is over here in the United States. He's on the East Coast. Great to see you today, Gillian and Kat. Thank you for joining us. Marcello is here. I forgot where Marcello is from. I'm thinking he's from Italy, but I could be wrong. He could be from the United States. And oh, no, here he is. He's telling me I'm coming in from Atlanta, Georgia. So we got some wide world audiences today, and they're chatting with each other. And Kevin D. Turner from Texas, another fellow Texan. He was here first, so he gets to be the Texan. I'm the new person. He says, late but here, Gillian and Kat share the knowledge and set others free. And Jeff says, great point, Kat. I love the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I believe you have that quote in your book, Kat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it might even be the first or second quote in the book. So
yes, I absolutely love it. And we have Marcia. She's coming in from the Washington, D.C. area. Greetings, Gillian and Kat. So imposter syndrome. What do you have to say about the imposter syndrome? Is it a thing?
Well, first of all, when it is a thing, it's a word that we use, isn't it? But it is just a story, kind of we're telling ourselves. That's one of the first things to say. And really, so the way I would like to view that is that if you're feeling an imposter, you're in the right place. Because if you don't feel the energy of like growth and kind of, I don't call it anxiety, it's anticipation, same feeling in the body, it's just energy. So you're feeling this energy of kind of, oh, can I do this? Well, you're in the right place then, aren't you? Because you're with people that are helping you to grow. You might be looking at people in a room that you're thinking, could I ever reach that? Well, that's inspiration. So see it for the truth of what it is. It means you're doing the right thing, because I think you're learning and growing. So I would call it, I don't know, I haven't thought about what I would change it to, but I'd call it growth and opportunity or something, and not imposter syndrome. You're in exactly the right place. And the other thing to say about it is the basis of all of my work really is to understand that the subconscious mind is very powerful. So as you said with my TEDx talk, I term it, there's a little photo here as well, your mind is a stallion, and you just have to learn how to ride it. So if we're calling this kind of stallion, or this invisible cage that we're coming on to as well, that's kind of blocking because it's fear-based, the imposter syndrome believes it's keeping you safe. That is its only job of your subconscious mind, is to keep you safe and alive. So I always say, importantly as well, it's the imposter syndrome, not your imposter syndrome. It's nothing wrong with you. It's the issue, and it will have come from somewhere. So that's what we would do. We would kind of, what is it really protecting you from? When was that original time that you felt not good enough or rejected or helpless? Going way back, typically under the age of 7, as I've said, because that's when it starts sort of running and from. So it would be understanding what's that root cause, and then it will feel, literally my clients will sort of feel that feeling in the body of kind of tension or anxiety, and then they'll realize, God, that's been there a long time, but it's very out of date, and it isn't keeping me safe, it's just keeping me stuck.
I love that. I love that. And, and I think about, the stallion metaphor, and it's like, well, where do you want to ride to, safety or stuck? It's like, there's two choices. And I think like with the imposter syndrome, it's almost like you just have to kind of look at it and say, yeah, it's there. And I'm going to keep going anyways. Like you acknowledge it, as opposed to, yes, I'm suffering from imposter syndrome. I'm packing up my laptop. I'm not writing the book, or I wrote the book, but I'm not going to hit the publish button. It's like, it's only a bad thing if it keeps you stuck. If you just look at it and say, okay, little fella, imposter syndrome, you can have a little place on my desk, and you can be here, and maybe it'll make me work harder sometimes, or go a little bit. But it's, if it holds you back, that I think is the problem, right?
Yeah, and I always sort of say it's a job of our mind to kind of lie to us, basically. Limiting lies. It's because that's its job, isn't, of our subconscious, isn't to actually make us happy or successful. Its job, like I said, is just to keep us safe. So when you tune into that imposter, you're kind of, okay, I get, that you're trying to help me, but you're lying to me. And then you could even do a little exercise for those that are listening. Write down every single fear, every single limiting belief in pencil. Leave a gap underneath, so maybe take even a few days, write them all down, all of these lies, all of these imposter things, leaving a gap underneath, and then write in pen a supportive truth, and then go back and rub out all the pencil. And then you've got, because the truth is, I can kind of always say, my favorite ones are things like, I'm the survivor of thousands of generations. Like, I'm literally, if I don't have what it takes, no one does. I've got everything I need within me. I'm more than enough. Learning and growing every day. Was born with natural confidence. So just putting some of those truths down.
I love that. That's a great exercise. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go do that myself, because I think there are times when you're just like, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to do too much. And the whispers come in, and I like the whispers should be in pencil, and they shouldn't be in pen, because you can erase pen, not so much, and definitely maybe later go back with a Sharpie, because like a Sharpie will really, that'll hone it in, that it's like, no, I can do this. I can do this. That's a great exercise. You had some other exercises in your book too. So I recommend people check out the book, because you had some good stuff in there too. So speaking of books, let's move us on to your work in progress right now. Tell us what you're working on, and explain this whole invisible cages thing, because that's such a visual. It's a great visual.
Yeah, well, it's really what you feel that you maybe can't even see. So, okay, sorry, my son's like, he's saying he's not feeling well. Can you just give me a second?
This is what happens on a live. Stuff happens and it's okay. It's okay. So she'll be back in just a second.
Sorry, I just need to be gone in about 5 minutes. He said he's not feeling well. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, sorry. So the invisible cage idea, really, that it just came about because you can feel these things even though nobody else can see them. And I think that's what it is. And I think it's also about the issue that people come to me with is not the issue. So the cage is things like they might say, Kat, I've got, I'm an anxious person. Well, that's actually just this sort of cage trying to keep you safe. Or they might say I'm a people pleaser. So the cage is different for us all, is the other thing to say. It might feel, you might call it different things, self-sabotaging, fear of public speaking, but you can shatter those cages and achieve whatever you want if you first of all recognize kind of what it is that you feel is blocking you, that you want to actually sort of shatter. And I think basically as well, it's fear. So we only make our decisions on two things, and it's like love or fear. So I kind of, in my recordings that I do for clients, it's always about once you've tuned into that natural love and energy, it kind of shatters this invisible cage of fear and of the past that is just not relevant anymore. That's that kind of imagery of like it can go. It just wants to leave.
Lovely. And is the love that we're sort of attracted to, is that self-love or love of others, or actually both?
Well, often I will tune in. So I take a nature and a nurture approach. So the nature approach will be natural personality strengths, just in the way that I use it. So it could be, whatever really fires you up. So in my sessions, we'll always go first to when life without the problem, really. So the time you felt I was in the right place doing the right thing, I was shining with purpose or love. So that could be different energy for everyone. But it's really tuning into a bit like that genius that I just said, that kind of 5% genius that Einstein talks about. It might be courage, it might be compassion, it might be creativity, it might be enthusiasm, it might be developing other people, it might be being a leader, it might be being strategic. There's all sorts of these 24 strengths that I help people to tune into. And once you find your top 7, that's your kind of fingerprint of you at your best. And those top 7 are shared by 1 in a billion people in the same order. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So is your book sort of taking people through this whole process? Is that what your new book will be about?
Yeah, actually the 5 stages will spell the word break. So I have already drafted it, and it's actually kind of here as well. That's that's build, sorry, behind me. That's because just do break and build though. It's break the invisible cage and then build the confidence to sort of keep on going, really. So the break is be kind of aware of the cage, first of all. The R is recognize what's really going on, the root cause. The E is energize your true self. So that's the strength psychology. The A is attract what you really want, and that's kind of leading your mind, a bit like with the TEDx. And the D is actually develop your voice, because that might be through a book, that might be through being a speaker, it might just be within your family, but often we're very stuck in terms of kind of speaking our truth and feeling that we can, take up space, take up noise. So that's the final part, is kind of, what are you going to do when you've shattered this cage? How are you going to develop what you have to say?
I love that. So it's like once you've kind of figured it out on the inside, then you want to kind of push that out into the world. And in my opinion, our voice and our experience and our expertise kind of like makes the world a better place. So it's like, once you've got it all figured out, why not share it? Why not share it? Shine that light.
Definitely.
Shine that light.
Lighthouse, as I always say, a lot of people want to help other people. And I kind of say, so it is kind of self-love. You have to be like the map, the lighthouse to say, and that's why, I'm not naturally confident. The reason I do this is to say, if I can shatter all of these invisible cages, I'm hopefully showing you that you can do it too. And so I have to practice what I preach, which is why I do what I do.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we're almost at time. So before we go, is there any sort of last minute things you want to share with people? I suggest everybody connect with you on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest place to reach out to you. So anything you'd like to say before we close out?
I think I've said most of what I want to say, actually. I think, yeah, the powerful exercise I'd like to leave people with, do encourage you to do that. Think about the limiting lies in pencil, think about the supportive truths in pen. And I think the other thing to say, maybe think about, creating a recording. So yeah, the final thing I'll share with people actually spells the word mind. So your mind must give you what it thinks you want. So be very careful about what follows the words I am. Because if you say something like we were talking before the call, actually, like I am fit and healthy, I'm a natural exerciser, then you're going to go and exercise and you're going to keep moving. Or I'm a dancer. So make sure you kind of write that down. I'm a dancer, I'm a healthy person, I'm a writer, I'm an author, like an author, a writer writes, yeah? The I stands for like imagination is the same as reality in terms of the subconscious. It can't actually tell the difference. So we know that if you were hungry now and we imagined our favorite meal, we'd be salivating and stomach rumbling and there's nothing there. So use your visualization. So I'm now visualizing, I will hold my book. I will imagine maybe not the details of the cover, but imagine you're holding that book and your mind already goes, oh, well, if you're an author, you're going to hold, well, we better write the book. The N stands for the subconscious needs to keep you away from pain. So make sure if you want to write the book, you need to be saying, this is what I did with the first book. You know, I'm loving this. I'm loving kind of getting up in the morning and writing, or I'm loving staying up late, whatever it is, like, this is a joy to me. Like, this is such a sense of purpose. So make sure you describe it as a pleasure. And then finally, the D stands for the subconscious mind doesn't like what's unfamiliar. It labels what's unfamiliar as difficult, but you can make anything familiar. So again, if we think about, you know, walking and talking and swimming or riding a bike used to be unfamiliar when we were little, but we made lots of things familiar. So again, it's like saying, I can make writing familiar. I can make, you know, talking about my book that's coming out familiar. We can make anything familiar. So that's my final thing, MIND.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Kat, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you being here, sharing your expertise, wishing you all the luck when your book is out. Please let us know and we can share the message with everybody. So thank you for being here today. And thank you for everybody who joined in, and we'll see you all next week. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.